Hey everyone, it's Shay on the mic. We're going beyond politics. Hope you're psyched. Not just policies, not just plans. We're talking dreams, hobbies, and life's other strands. We'll meet the leaders behind the scenes, uncover the stories in between, the laughs, the quirks, the passions they hide, their personal moments, unfiltered and wide. Ready or not, let's get underway. This is Beyond Politics with Shay. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Politics with Shay, where we delve into the lives and personalities of our most favorite leaders. Today, we're joined by Stephanie D. Pasqua. Stephanie is the state member for Drummoyne and previously the Deputy Mayor for Canada Bay Council. Stephanie is a lifelong resident of the Drummoyne area. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Shay. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Pleasure is ours. Let's get into some of the curly questions, jumping into our icebreaker round. What is one thing that people don't know about you?
Look, something that people don't know about me would be my faith. I'm a very proud Christian, a proud Catholic, and I really pride myself on having faith. And I think that my faith is what drew me to this vocation of service. And maybe some people know about me. Maybe sometimes you think of politicians, you may not always think of faith. But for me, I would say that's what I am most proud of.
It's a lovely thing to share. Moving on to the next question. Don't be so humble with this one. What is one compliment that you receive all the time?
Oh, okay. One compliment that I receive all the time is, oh, you don't look like a politician, or you don't seem to talk like a politician, or something along those lines. And I really take that as a compliment because I think it's really important for politicians to be accessible, to be real, normal people, because in order for us to represent our communities and really, gauge community interest and sentiment, I think we do need to be normal, and we do have to surround ourselves with, everyone in our community and be a representative voice. So that's what I'd probably say is a big compliment. Sometimes people tell me I look younger than my actual age, but I am young, so I'll take that, and hopefully in a couple of years' time they also call me young.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, a more creative question. If you could introduce one feature to a smartphone, iPhone or Android, what would that be and why?
Oh, that's a tough question. You know something? I have really loved the talk to text little feature of the iPhone, and I'd love the iPhone to read my mind. So I'd have to, circumvent the whole talking to the iPhone to then predictive text. I wish it could just connect to my phone, and it'd just be so much more efficient that way. That might be a good thing for some, maybe not for others. But yeah, I do really love that feature. And sometimes I just think, it'd be so much easier if it just had a wire in my brain and it'd just respond to messages and emails quickly. I guess sometimes when you live a busy life, you really appreciate efficiencies and when you can make things smarter. I hope that's a good answer for that question.
No wrong answer, but I think you kind of found my point, which is signals a very busy lifestyle, I think.
Yeah.
But no, thank you so much for sharing. Moving on to your personal journey now, your life. Share with us your childhood, where you grew up, and that motivation that inspired you to make a career and start your career in politics.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you asked this question of me, because I think it is the most fundamental question to ask any politician, to understand their background, but also what motivates them. So for me, look, I'm blessed in my life. I really am. I grew up, as you said before, I grew up in my local electorate. I've lived here in this community all of my life. I grew up in Concord. still live in Concord. I have two amazing younger sisters, and my parents, and we lived all together for many, many years. My parents are still married. My sisters are not just my sisters, they're my best friends. And so I guess all of my life I've had really, really strong women around me. I went to an all-girls high school. I went to primary school in my area, and then I also went to high school in my area. I went to Drummoyne in Five Dock, which is an all-girls school. And so I think when you think about, my upbringing, I really believe that women could do everything because that's what was instilled in me. My parents always told us that we would be judged on who we are as people, and to treat everyone with dignity and respect. And I really do thank my parents for that life lesson, because it is a life lesson. And it's a reminder, and it's a reminder that I take with myself every day, that how you treat people is really, really important. And it comes, back to faith, that you want to treat everyone the way you'd like to be treated, and you love your neighbour. So I find that really, really important. And of course, that was something that was instilled in me at school. And I went to Drummoyne, and two of our, I guess, women that we looked up to, first St. Joan of Arc, and second Nan O'Nagle. And everyone knows St. Joan of Arc, but maybe we'll talk a little bit more about Nan O'Nagle. She was an Irish nun, and she would take her lantern out with her at night time, and she would feed the poor and educate the poor. And that's really the whole spirit of Drummoyne, is that you take your lantern with you everywhere you go, and you bring a bit of light into everyone's life. And so I guess I went through my whole upbringing thinking that women could do everything, and largely I still believe that.
You obviously have shared a lot about your upbringing, what you want to bring to obviously your service, and sharing, your career as a service to, the wider society. If you could maybe draw or share one personal story that was that trigger to entering a life in politics, starting with obviously your local council.
Yeah, look, it probably came from, I've always been interested in politics. Growing up, I'd always been interested, always had that little inkling that I'd like to know more about politics. I was a kid at school that knew all of the names of the prime ministers, ministers. I just knew because I loved news and current affairs. But my family migrated, my grandparents migrated from Italy to Australia in the 1950s and 60s. It was probably understanding why they came here, that opportunity for a better life, the ability for their children and grandchildren, and the want that for their children and grandchildren to have a better life, that really struck a chord with me. And I guess I ran on local council in 2017. That was when I first got elected to Canada Bay Council. And at the time, I really felt that we needed to have representative voices on council. I think it was nice to have a young person's voice on council. We'd never had really that before. When I was elected, I was the youngest to be elected to Canada Bay Council, and I really wanted to make sure we had space for youth. And we developed better parks, and parks with the view of not just younger children, but also entertaining, teens and older youth, and giving them spaces. Another reason why I wanted to be on council and to represent diverse voices, as I said before, I've got an Italian background. I speak fluent Italian. And sometimes, unfortunately, when English isn't your first language, you are disadvantaged or you are excluded. And I wanted to be an advocate for the Italian community. I wanted to be somebody that stood up and represented them and helped them. And the beauty about local council is that it's the most grassroots level of government. And it's about the things that are around you. So when you think about those things, Italians are really house proud. And so they want to make sure that the trees in front of their houses are groomed and that potholes in the roads are fixed. And they want to know that those community services are there for them. And they want to know how to access them, and they want someone to advocate for them. And I really felt that I had a tremendous opportunity to do that, and I put my hand up to run on council.
Thank you for sharing. Obviously, can see that initiative and that commitment to service shine through. Let's move into a more policy discussion now. Obviously, having worked within the council, you would have received very direct feedback from people and local businesses. Let's now focus on that right now in this part of the discussion. Last year, the Small Business Commissioner published the results of their Momentum Survey. 86% of small businesses indicated that the cost of business inputs are on the rise. In your view, Stephanie, what are the factors influencing this?
I think the biggest factor is the state of the economy right now. Cost of living is rising, and what that means in terms of small businesses or business in general, well, it means that costs are rising. Everyone that you speak to tells you how expensive it is to keep the lights on, to run the business. I was speaking to a local cafe owner just a couple of weeks ago who told me that his gas bill had tripled, his electricity bill had doubled every quarter last year, doubled from the start of last year to the end of last year. That's a massive cost to absorb. And every business is telling us that they're feeling this and they're struggling. And I think the report that the Small Business Commissioner released just reflects that. It's what we hear in cafes, it's what we hear when we're out about talking to small businesses. The reality is that it's really, really hard out there. And I speak to many, many people every single day that tell me how hard it is. And I think it comes down to the state of the economy. And it's really, really sad because small business is the lifeblood of our community. For a lot of people, their first job is in small business. It is one of the largest employers outside of government. It was my first job. I had jobs in small businesses, many, many small businesses. My first job was in a small business, and I really feel like that's what gave me the confidence to speak to people. It gave me all of those skills that I wouldn't have had I not had exposure to being in a small business where you don't just have one job, you work across the business and you are invested in its success. And so I think it's really hard. It's really hard to say to somebody, take the risk, start your own business in these economic times. And it shouldn't be. We should be encouraging small business owners. We can always do better. When I was deputy mayor on council, we brainstormed for a lot about how we were going to support our small businesses. It was the start of, these really turbulent economic times. And something we sort of came up with when I was acting mayor is that we tried to activate our town centres. So we'd have a DJ and we'd try to extend trade. So we'd have late night trade. So people would want to come to our local areas. We called it Beats and Eats. Where you had music and you could get some food and you could just have fun with the kids, and it was just one way to support the small businesses and just encourage and bring morale not just to the business owners and the staff but also to the community, because I think that's what we really, really underestimate, is that small businesses are the lifeblood of our community. They are the start. They are there for the community in every way. They're there when school P&Cs need funding, they donate. They are there to give you a friendly smile in the morning. For many of us, they give you your first job. And so really, when you think about it and you think about the crux of business, it really is the start and end of a community.
Thank you for sharing, and those examples obviously would resonate with many of our viewers. In terms of what the state government could do, can you share what programs or support resources could the state government provide, if they're not already doing so, to support small or family-run businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the massive ones would be tax relief. I think that's a massive one. I think payroll tax relief is a huge way to support small and family businesses. If you're of a particular size, basically you are hit with a payroll tax. We hear about it being referred to as a tax on ambition, a tax on success. And it very much is. We want businesses to thrive. We want them to employ more people. And so I really think that payroll tax relief is a massive way to support small business and to encourage prosperity. I know that there currently exist some grants and some rebates around electricity and gas, and I'm sure that makes a big difference for small businesses because energy costs are massive. There are some things that are independent of government. Cost of goods is one of those things, but there are levers, particularly, I know we're talking about state government, but that's why we see the federal government trying to bring down inflation and really focus on bringing down inflation, because essentially what that means is that when you lower inflation, you help to essentially bring down the cost of goods. And that is massive for small businesses. It doesn't matter who you speak to, whether it's the hospitality industry, whether it's the building industry, no matter which industry it is a massive cost of running, keeping the lights on, whether it's insurance, whether it's energy, whether it's as I said before, the cost of acquiring goods, whether it's staff costs, it doesn't matter. It's all rising. And so if we can encourage small businesses to bring back that confidence, well, that's a massive way. I think I'd like to see a little bit more done to encourage young people to take up business. I think as a young person, there are some really inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and people who have gone out and taken the risk. And I think if we encourage that, if we encourage and give people an opportunity to try their best and to lift them up and to be ambitious, I think that's, a really, really, really good thing. And so I'd probably like to see a bit more encouragement by governments for young people, or just people in general, to take the risk and open up their own business. Because, I've heard from many, many people who tell me that small business is the hardest thing they've ever done, but it's also the most rewarding. I think if you take the risk and it pays off, well, that's fantastic, and we should be encouraging that, and we should be giving people the opportunity to do that.
Great insights. Thank you for sharing. Clearly, this is a policy area that is very close to you, and I'm sure many businesses will be thankful for what you've shared as well. Let's move on to the rapid fire piece of the show. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions very quickly. First thing that comes to mind, once again, and obviously there's no right or wrong answer. Starting with favorite movie.
Oh, that's a hard question because I have a lot of favorite movies. But if I had to pick just one, I'd probably say Grease. Grease is my favorite. It's such a classic. I love it a lot. And also, I can't just pick one. I'd also pick The Lion King. Another classic. I've loved it ever since I was a kid. I think my mum said I used to sit and watch The Lion King like no tomorrow. It'd just be on repeat all of the time. So I'd go Lion King and Grease.
Thank you. I'm getting a really clear picture of your childhood there. So thank you so much for sharing. Okay, favorite song and why?
See, again, I can't just pick one song. It's really, really hard. You know what? I'll tell you this. I'll tell you my favorite artist. I love Elton John. anything Elton John. I'm a little bit of an old soul and I love classic music. So I would say absolutely anything Elton John, but I also love Bruno Mars. So maybe a little bit of Bruno Mars in there too.
Okay, looking at your favorite food, what's your favorite meal?
Oh, Italian, of course. Why stop at just one thing? Pizza, pasta, cannoli, you name it. Anything Italian is my favorite. But I also love Lebanese food, actually. I love cooking. And my sisters and I, we have tried making sambusiks. We make fattoush is like on our weekly rotation. Kibbe, kafta, you name it, we've made it. I love it. So, yeah, I would also say Lebanese food.
I think it calls for you coming to the Oz Arab Media Studios. Maybe we'll have a live session of some busik making.
I would love that. I actually have been improving my skills. That was one thing we did in COVID, made lots of sambusik. So I think between my hummus skills and my sambusik skills, I reckon I'd give you a run for your money, Shay.
I reckon you'll be giving my mum a run for her money.
No, not that good. Not that good.
Okay, and so on that note, you love pizza, you love pasta. What's your, do you have a favorite cafe or restaurant that you'd like to share with us?
Do I have a favorite? No, it's too hard to pick just one. The thing is, I love my community. We are blessed in the Inner West with beautiful places to eat. I've got a croissant place called Buttercrumbs right across the road from my electorate office. It is the best on Great North Road. We also have the famous Rainieri Deli, which has gone TikTok famous. Shay, you said you loved your panino this morning. Well, I highly suggest you try their panini. They are the best. So please get down to Great North Road in Five Dock. There are plenty of places to try, but also I do love Majors Bay Road. We've got some amazing cafes and restaurants, so please visit, whether it's Drummoyne. We've got a lovely foodie hub in Drummoyne and also in Abbotsford, Warringah. Wherever you go, even in Rhodes, wherever you go, we've got lots of foodie hangouts. So I can't just pick just one. I've got to shout out everyone.
Thank you. No, well deserved. Okay, and the last question, the last book you've read.
I remember the last book I read. I used to love reading. Don't find that much time for it these days. I read lots and lots of, policy papers and legislation and emails and things like that. But the last book I read actually is probably a little bit controversial. It Ends With Us. I read the book before the movie came out. I wanted to see the movie, but then I heard there was lots of controversy, so I haven't gone yet to see the movie. But it was, a really powerful book.
Thank you for sharing. And to wrap up the show, what is one piece of advice or a personal mantra that you'd like to share with our viewers?
I think my biggest piece of advice would be to always be yourself and stay true to yourself. If you know what your values are, you will always find a way, and you will be able to succeed no matter what comes your way, because you have your values and you have, your principles. So stay true to yourself and don't be anyone other than yourself.
Thank you for sharing, Stephanie. And again, thank you so much for joining us here on Beyond Politics with Shay with Oz Arab Media. For all those watching, please don't forget to like and share this episode. And I'm going to leave Stephanie to wrap up the episode by sharing her own personal message on how to best get in contact.
Oh, just before I do that, Shay, thank you so much for the opportunity. It has been so nice to chat to you today. I really, really appreciate your offer to come onto the podcast. Thank you so much. To get in contact with me, you can find me on all the social media sites. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube. I've also got an email address, drummoyne@parliament.nsw.gov.au. call us. We're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Our number is 97132999. We've got lots of multilingual speakers in our office. We really pride ourselves on that because we do represent a diverse community. And I've got a website, www.stephaniedepasqua.com.au, or come in and visit us. We're at 128 Great North Road in Five Dock. If you do come, we'll tell you all the best places to go and eat, and we really do love to meet new people. So hopefully you can use one of those ways to get in contact with us. I'm also on LinkedIn. I don't know if I said that before. Please contact me there. I think that's about it.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And to all our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, stay connected and stay inspired.
Thank you.